quick announcement at the end of the video. Make sure to watch till the end. Alright guys, welcome back to another video for MCreator. So today what we're going to be doing is starting to work on our logo design, and it's going to be something similar to what I asked ChatGPT to create. So I wanted a logo with a cog and with the pickaxe in the middle, so we'll be designing something similar to that. We'll probably be using inspiration off of our current logo as well, so we can even open that up and grab that from one of my files. But we'll be doing that today and just getting the outlines and stuff kind of built out, and then we'll be focusing on the shading and detail work later on, so like in the next couple videos. So it shouldn't take too long to actually come up with a good design and stuff like that. There are some tools in paint.net from a plugin that I have that allows me to make cogs and stuff pretty easily, so that's not a huge entire issue. So let's go ahead and see where the files are located. I think it's on, if I remember correctly, it's under YouTube, and then it would be under images, channels, and then I think it was the profile picture, and then we should have all the versions that I've had for this channel in here. So under the MCreator one, I have a few different ones. So those are the AI generated ones. That's kind of the idea that I want to go for, because it was my original idea to have a cog and to have a pickaxe kind of part of the logo. So we'll be kind of doing something similar, maybe not with the gem there, I'm not sure just yet. But so I want to go ahead and grab the paint.net one, and then that way we can get the outline for this pickaxe, just so I don't have to design a new one. And what we're going to do is we're going to just check the size. Looks like it's the same, so that's good. I'm going to put that in here, and we're going to create a layer actually, so we can outline this and make it a little bit easier to work with. So we're going to do that. We're probably going to start with the outline first. I might even scale this up a little bit just to make it a little bit better and more visible. So bring it a little bit higher than that. That could work. I'm not sure how big the cog's going to be, so I'm going to leave it about this size for now. And then we're going to go to the shape tool, and then if we go into just the outline, because that's all we're worried about right now, and I'm going to look for the cog that's in here. So we have a cog design here. It's hard to see because the lines are really small. I have this image really big so we can have basically a good design and stuff. So this is just like a shape tool from, I believe it's either built into paint.net. Yeah, it must be built into paint.net. So the other ones down here are custom from the plugin that I have. The other one right here is just the paint.net one, I guess. So we'll create a new layer for this, and then we'll kind of bring it from corner to corner. And I probably want to make sure, if we zoom in here, we're probably going to have this blur effect. I'm not sure if that will probably make it a little bit harder to work with when we're actually filling in the design. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn that off, and if we zoom in now, you can see it's a straight edge. So it's that little icon right up here where it says aliasing. So we're going to turn off the aliasing, and then we're going to drag this over to about, I would say here, maybe a little bit further down. Up there, that should do. And I'm going to make this circle a little bit different. I'm going to actually remove that whole entire thing in just a moment, but I want to see if we can maybe put a gear inside of a gear and use that outline for the inner part. That might actually be pretty cool to do. So let's see, right about here. We're on a new layer as well, so if we mess up, that's fine. So about there, I guess. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be roughly around the circle about evenly, but it doesn't have to be like per pixel or anything like that. We're not working with like pixel art, so it's not anything too much to remove. And I'm also going to remove that inner circle as well, so we have something like this. So we can turn off the pickaxe, and that's the general idea of what the outline looks like. So if we zoom in, we can see that all this is perfectly smooth, so when we start working with the logo, we can start working with the shape and stuff. So now would probably be the best time to actually start outlining the pickaxe. I'm not sure. We're going to move this up to the top here so we can actually see what we're working with. And now if we use that other image as a reference, what we can do is we'll open up that file just so we can see what it looks like. And it kind of has the pickaxe part down below and the part kind of leaning up against there. I like that kind of feel to it. So we'll see if we can't work something on that. The cog though is a little bit too big. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to merge these two layers down, and I'm going to go ahead and grab this and make sure that when I'm merging it, it keeps the nearest neighbor. And we'll shrink this down a little bit, so it's about, I don't know, we'll say about that size. And then we can put it in here. So it's something like that, and then we can kind of scale our pickaxe to what we need there. So obviously not the same pickaxe. We'll probably be redesigning the pickaxe that we have currently. So I just want the general shape and something to manipulate around so we can actually work with something. I might even make this a little bit longer. And we do something like the other ones, we could do something like that. I think it's not even on that same angle, to tell you the truth. So we can try rotating it a little bit and scaling this up. And what I'm seeing is it's not going to be fitting our cog, so we're probably going to have to design something from scratch. We'll use this as a reference. I'll just open up this into a new window. So we have that as a reference for the layout, and we're gonna have to kind of outline things. Now with the outline tool, we want to make sure that aliasing is off, so we can zoom in here and see that. So that's good. Now looking at this, I'm thinking about having the part kind of bring it down to here maybe, and we're gonna want to make sure we're on our own layer, right? So we can delete this background image that's not being used. So let's go ahead and grab that, and we'll bring it, I think, around to about here. And I'm going to want to kind of bevel this a little bit, so it's not exactly the same. Kind of like a flat edge, right? So we want to make sure that it's kind of its own thing. We're gonna bring that, the tip of the thing will get a little bit shorter, I think, around here. That will look good. I'm just gonna make sure before I finish this up that this is actually connected properly. And we'll clean up the edges and stuff later. Some of these edges on when we're drawing lines won't be exactly the perfectly like aligned and stuff like that. They will need some cleaning up. When you're actually doing that, what you do is you just use the erase tool, and that's fine. I've done a few logos like this before. So now I'm also thinking about a grip thing as well, so we're gonna add a new layer here, and we're going to kind of branch it around like this, just so there is some dimension to it. And then we'll go ahead and kind of bring it up, I guess. And we'll do this a few times so we can actually copy and paste this thing that we created. Might even want the part a little bit shorter. So we'll go and do, I'll just start from the top here and bring it down. It's probably easier. And then we can go and bring that across and then kind of merge that down a little bit. So it's something in the center here. And this is probably, like, when we're looking at this side here, this is probably where the edges are going to get a little bit messed up. So we'll have to clean this up before we do anything, I think. And that will make it a little bit easier to work with. So something like that. And what I'm going for is kind of like a rope feel to it. So I want to make sure that it's roughly even. And yeah, I can already tell that there's some pixel issues. So let's disable the cog for the moment. And we can clean this part up before we do anything. So I'm gonna shrink this down, make sure that the aliasing is off so we can just kind of eat away at this. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring it down to like 5 so we can kind of just automatically kind of align this a little bit better. And I'm probably going to bring this out a little bit more, so we're going to fill that in a little bit differently. And I don't like that pixel right there. So we're going to use the brush tool next, make sure aliasing is off. And then that way we can kind of just paint this on a little bit. And try to keep a straight brush. That. I've actually taken logo design in high school as well, so we learned how to make logos and stuff, so it's not anything, it's not much different than art. You just kind of work with kind of shapes and stuff to create an actual image that is unique. Now I'm not too happy with how this is set up, but it's not going to matter too much because it's going to just kind of stack. So we're gonna copy that, make a new layer, and then we're gonna kind of go ahead and do this. We might even want to shrink this a little bit. So we'll set that and kind of shrink this in. And then we'll do a big one on top of this. So something like that might work. And then we'll copy the other one again, create a new layer, paste that in, put that one on top here. Now we probably want to see where our cog is going to be, so something like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to also probably want to shrink this a little bit as well, because the actual lines and stuff are starting to get a little bit big on both sides. So we want to make sure that it fits our pickaxe, right? So something like that maybe, or even smaller. Could go a little bit smaller, I guess. Then we could use that other one, that middle one, to kind of branch it out again. Or do the bottom one and just move this entire thing up a little bit. So what we'll probably want to do is individual layers. So bring this up a little bit more and bring this one up. And then we'll bring the bottom one up. And that way we have a little bit more space to work with. And then I'm going to create a new layer, or we already have a layer here that's not being used. So we can bring this one down, and I'm going to shrink this a little bit. And see if I can't get it roughly right there. So let's go ahead and turn off the cog. And there's some cleaning up that we need to do here, but it could work for what we need. Now, if we're looking at the design here, I want to kind of round this a little bit more, because it's not exactly, it shouldn't be that sharp, but it could work for that. So we're going to disable that. We're going to round these corners off a little bit with the erase tool and make sure that we're on the right layer. I'm going to actually undo that, what I just did, because I was on the wrong layer there. All right, so we'll kind of need to find that right one. So we want to round these and kind of like that, so it's not as sharp. And we're probably going to want to make these a little bit larger too. So I'm going to kind of bring this up a little bit and just kind of slice away at this part. It doesn't have to be perfect, but most people aren't going to see this much detail. But if we use it for a larger image, then we want to make sure that it looks good too, right? So that looks more appropriate. Yeah, so I'm gonna chip away at this a little bit more too. Just a little bit, so we can get that nice edge and clean up some of those lighter pixels. Then we're gonna kind of bevel this part, so we need this layer. And we're gonna bevel that. And we want to make sure that this is all set up too, so kind of chip away at that part. It wasn't exactly a perfect shape by the looks of it, but that's all right. So just something like that. Erase this part. Make sure there's no rogue pixels there. And then we can kind of bevel this part right here. So we just chop away at some of the exterior part. And there we go, we got that part done. And now we go to this side, kind of bevel this, because it's supposed to be like rope material, right? So we don't want it as cornery or sharp as it currently is. Perfect. All right, so I like that. We're gonna kind of chop away at this part as well, right here. So we want to kind of clean this part up just a little bit, just so it's kind of like a more even space here, and we'll do the same for this one. So kind of just like that. That should be good. All right, and then we have the next one up here. I'm going to actually fill this in a little bit more with the paintbrush tool because it is not as beveled. So we'll do that just a little bit more, just so it looks more appropriate. And then we'll kind of do this side over here and maybe bevel this one just a slight. And this corner and that corner. So that looks a little bit better, I think, for the rope. We'll do the other one for this one up here. We'll try to bevel that a little bit. And I'm going to have to chop into that part up there, so I'm not going to do that right at the moment, but we'll need to clean some of these up as well. So we'll go back to our top layer and we'll kind of chop away at this. You can actually see the bottom layer that we have here, so that will work fine. And we'll kind of chop away at that. Sometimes it might take a couple attempts to get the right shape that you're working with as well. See, that took me a few attempts to get that right bevel. I'm working with a mouse as well, so if I had my touchpad, I'm not familiar with my touchpad that much. I've only used it a couple times. It would actually be harder for me to do than a mouse, oddly enough. So that's why I'm not using it. But I'm sure if I got used to the actual feel and everything of it, it would probably be better. It's not a huge touchpad either, so it's just a matter of getting used to it. I don't do the pixel art that much where I need to actually use it too much, so I don't know. It just kind of sits there and collects dust, but I don't know. I'll make use of it one day. All right, so that's good, and then we'll kind of bring this around like that. Actually, I like that curve. That looks good. So now I just need to bevel the interior edges. So we'll go back to the paintbrush tool. Just kind of round these a little bit more. And the bottoms. Mostly the tops that are the ones that need it. That bottom one might actually be too much, too rounded. So I'm just going to do that again. So that's basically the rope part that I want. We'll just round this one corner over here, and I think that's good. Let's go ahead and put that on now, and we'll see what our pickaxe looks like. So it's a little hard to tell in this area because there's all those additional lines. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab the erasing tool, and we're going to go ahead and just kind of clean this space up. that has this part right here. So it doesn't have to be perfect because it's going to be overlaying. We might even want a larger brush size. I'm going to go with a 20. And I'm just going to erase the parts that are basically in the way for this, like the parts that go over this part. So like we have the part right here that kind of goes in here. And we have that part, so we'll erase that. That line, these lines here need to go. That line. I'm going to make sure that I'm getting most of the stray pixels that we have laying around in these parts as well. So it just cleans it up a little bit more too, right? So as you can see, it's already starting to take shape. Just make sure I get all these corners. So that's starting to look really good. For the pickaxe part though, we're already 20 minutes in, so I'm probably going to leave this as the end of the video for now. And then what we'll work on is probably the pickaxe head next episode. And we'll start working on kind of like the general logo and like the design for the pickaxe. Now I do have this. This was actually... a lot of this image was like this part here was actually used by the filter here. What was it? The noise and then generation, and then you can kind of see it has that same kind of effect here. That's how I generated the texture for that part. Now I'm not going to do it that way this time. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of plan out where the pickaxe head needs to go. And we'll be designing that part next. I'm pretty happy with this part. We still have some of this part down here that needs to kind of be redesigned. So if we look at here, we have this part, and I'm just going to clean this up quickly as well before we end the video. But yeah, so it'll take some time to actually do this. I'm thinking probably about 4 videos, maybe 3. Depending on how much time we have. If I'm doing about 20 minutes each, it might go pretty quickly, but we'll have the shading and stuff that we still need to do as well. So it will kind of depend on how much time each day that we have. So overall, that's what we have so far, and I'm pretty happy with it. So we'll continue this in next couple weeks, and we'll eventually get into the shading and stuff like that. But outside of that, if you are new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe, comment down below, rate the video, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. I have this friend that has their own server hosting company, and they have the lowest prices in the server hosting community, and they've given me a promo code to give to you guys. So if you want to get a good deal for the first month, then you can use the promo code Northwest for 45% off your first month. Offer expires July 19th, 2034. The link to their site is in the description.